Week 16 is basically over, and so are half of my fantasy dreams and hopes. I hope you made the playoffs or the finals. I did make the finals in a couple, but we'll talk about that here shortly. Are you here to talk about you being in the finals? Because if so, cool. Or are you here to scream into the void like us? Good performances, bad performances, and performances just were absolutely freaking awful, making you rethink life's decisions on why the hell we even drafted these players. Why did we play this fucking game? It sucks. I hate it. It's Monday's Anxiety. Let's air out the grievances together. Yes, it is Monday's Anxiety. This is your fantasy football therapy session. And me, I am here to bitch, moan, complain, and possibly, well, maybe not possibly, probably cry a little bit. Welcome back, Ryan Weisse. How are we this morning?
Oh, much better than the last 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're all festive now.
Yeah, it's Christmas. I won't say good. For those who have been around for my health journey, I have also gout and joint issues. It is -5 degrees in upstate New York right now, so walking is just an adventure. Taking my dog out this morning changed me as a person.
That's where you just put him on a runner and say, go.
Yeah.
Josh, good morning, sir. How are we this morning? Hey, look, we have Ryan back. Like you said, I think he blames it on health issues. I think it was him doing all the Christmas setup that he had to get ready for this.
I think Ryan is patiently awaiting the day that he can become a bionic man so he doesn't have to deal with all these issues.
I've been asking Marlia for robot legs as long as I can remember at this point, and she just won't oblige.
She doesn't make that much money, right?
Exactly. Or she doesn't love me that much.
The chat is already going crazy, Ryan. They're welcoming you back just like we are. But before we get into the show, fantasy managers, now is the time to order those league championships for the commissioners, for yourselves, and for those not so lucky losers. Josh, let the good people know what they got to do.
Yeah, our sister site, Women in Fantasy Football, has a great partnership with Trophy Smack. Head over to trophysmack.com/WOFF. That's WOFF. Use that unique link and get all of your championship swag, belts, trophies, rings, wall smack, decorate your office, hallways, kids' rooms. It's all customizable. They have some default stuff that you can use as well, but it's all set up to celebrate you. Or if you're feeling generous, commissioner in your league, celebrate the loser in your league and thank them for helping you win your championship. All that at trophysmack.com/WOFF, WOFF. Great news. Women in Fantasy Football just got approved for our Super Bowl credentials. So when you use this link, any of those commissions are helping us help the women that we are sending to the Super Bowl. It's all set up to do this. We want to give back and support women in sports. This is how you help us do that. So do all your shopping at trophysmack.com/WOFF, WOFF.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Ryan, since you haven't been here the last 2 weeks, I don't know if you know how the show sheet goes anymore, but now is your turn. Weekly refresher. Tell us about yesterday. How did it go?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows how it goes. I think we were all watching pretty intently yesterday, but I was saying before the show, I felt like the good players were good, the bad players were bad, but overall, I'm just not excited about the week. It started back on Thursday. The Chargers take down the Broncos, holding down home field 34-27. Then we had Saturday games this week, and I feel like a lot of people may have forgotten about those Saturday games. Definitely not me, realizing the Chiefs and Texans had already kicked off. Chiefs managed to come in with a hurt Patrick Mahomes and beat the Texans 27-19. Ravens on that same Saturday double up the Steelers 34-17. We get into the Sunday games. Falcons 34, Giants 7. Though when you hear that score, you'd think great game from rookie Michael Penix. No. Great game for Bijan Robinson, though. Lions double up the Bears 34-17. Panthers 36, Cardinals 30. Who would have thought that was going to be the best game of the week? Rams 19, Jets 9. Who would have thought that was going to be the worst game of the week? Commanders 36, Eagles 33. Not what Josh Hudson was expecting to see on Sunday. Browns get beat down by the Bengals 24-6. I will throw out there, Joe Burrow has still never beaten the Browns by more than 3 touchdowns. Colts 38, Titans 30, Vikings 27, Seahawks 24. Bills a little bit closer than most expected it to be, 24-21. They were actually down 14-0 at one point in that game. Raiders and Jaguars was expectedly ugly, 19-14. And then Dolphins hold it down against the 49ers, 29-17. And then great Sunday night game. Unless you're a Bucs fan, Cowboys, again, hold down home field advantage, 26-24. I feel like the home field advantage really stuck in week 16.
I like how you did that little dig there. Screw you too.
Yeah. It was a fun game, though.
It was not a fun game. But we will move on from that. Josh wanted to add a new segment in today, and I actually kind of like this one here. We're going to talk about our semifinal stories. So, Josh, why don't you lead us off and talk about your semifinal story?
Yeah, so I ended up in 6 total semifinals, 2 in redraft, 4 in dynasty. And as of right now, I'm only advancing in 33% of them. And that really fucking sucks. One of them, my redraft league, absolutely exploded. I had Jayden Daniels, had Jahmyr Gibbs, had DK, had AJ Brown. Feeling good about myself. Things are looking great. The other one, shit happens. It is what it is. Honestly, I haven't even looked at that one. I just saw the red bar going way over here. I'm like, all right, yep, not a worry now. One of my dynasty leagues made it through. Felt really good about that one. Had Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold, Chuba Hubbard, Brock Bowers, looking great. 2 of them, I score 195 plus points and lose. Yeah. One of them, I lost by 4.78 points, and I started Jalen Hurts. CeeDee Lamb goes for 100 yards in the first half and couldn't get me 5 more fucking points. Shout out, Kelly. Congratulations. You're going on to the finals.
Ouch.
The other one, two of those that I missed, I ran into Jonathan Taylor because fuck that asshole. Why are Jonathan Taylor managers even in the semifinals right now? He was dog shit all season. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. One of them still up in the air, though. I just need Kendre Miller to outscore Josh Jacobs by 10 fantasy points tonight. I think it's half PPR, but I think it's doable if, it turns into a running game kind of game because it is, in Green Bay. So we'll see.
Ryan, I'll let you tell yours here in just a second, but I do want to hear from the chat as well.
They're all in.
Stories. I do want to hear some of their semifinal stories and the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that kind of good stuff. But Ryan, what was your weekend like with your semifinals?
So I was in 8 semifinals and 1 actually week 16 final. I am not winning the championship in that league. Jared Goff versus Michael Penix. He beat me down, plain and simple. I think he actually had the Falcons defense as well, which, what a week for the Falcons defense. So nothing really went well in that one. Of my semis, like I said, I was in 8. I am definitely moving forward in 1, and 2 more are on the line tonight. I need a big game from the Green Bay defense. They are my stream of the week. So, like I said, I practice what I preach. So we'll see how that goes. I don't have a ton of great stories. Jared Goff got me. I didn't really get Jonathan Taylor in an actual semifinal, though. Jay in our consolation bracket, Jonathan Taylored me in one league.
See, that's where Jonathan Taylor managers should have been.
I'll share
100%.
I'll share one story of mine. I've told you guys about this league before. 32-team league, full offense, full defense. But in a 32-team league, quarterbacks are at a premium. I have been riding and surviving Kirk Cousins this entire season, and he gets benched in the semifinal game. So I am not in the Super Bowl in the 32-team league because I had no quarterback this week. So not my favorite thing. But on the Jonathan Taylor story, in my home league, my longest running league, this is our 18th season. A month ago, one of our guys was diagnosed with cancer. So he's going through it right now. He sneaks into the playoffs. That Jonathan Taylor fumble last week, he thought was going to cost him, but he manages to edge it out and then rides Jonathan Taylor now into the finals, his first finals ever. In this league, 150 is an average score. He's going to score like 225 points this week. So he is into the finals on a rocket. But my favorite part, he's playing one of his best friends, one of the people who got him into this league. And in our league chat this morning, the fucking friend goes, well, sorry, Kenny, Make-A-Wish said you can't win the championship. They couldn't pull that one off for you. So that's my friends in a nutshell.
Oh my God. With friends like that.
Yes.
We ouch.
Holy shit.
Yep. That's what I woke up to this morning.
God knows. I started the week in 6 semifinal matchups, and there's not one that's close. I'm down to 3. Worst loss I had, of course, I had Matthew Stafford, who absolutely ghosted. Didn't worry about his ghosting of last week because, well, I had the bye. This week he did 0 better than he did last week, and it cost me. Losing that matchup by 7 points because of Matthew Stafford. So yeah, that's great. Oh, that team also has Travis Kelce, and watching the Travis Kelce decline has been absolutely fucking painful.
Jay, 4 of my semifinal teams had Travis Kelce, and I almost benched him in every one of them this week and didn't do it. Should have.
So bad. My best one though this week, my best win, I have Josh Allen on the team, and I still scored 203 points. So not too mad about Allen not showing up, although we might talk about, well, if he's going to be there next week or not. Plus, as Ryan said, I beat Ryan in the toilet bowl this week, but in that same league, I also beat Ryan back in week 2, and I beat Josh in week 7 or 8. I am
of the show
3-0 against you two in that particular league, and I'm going to take that as the champion.
I'm going to give 2 great shout outs about the same league. Club Fantasy Listener League, first year we ever did one. First of all, I had a terrible season. Anybody who's in the league is fully aware of this. It was almost, this listener league started with Mock It Like It's Hot, which is hosted by me and Austin. Austin inches by Wendy early this week. It was almost me and Austin in the toilet bowl, having lost throughout the playoffs, which I thought would have been, perfect. But I do want to give a shout out to our good friend Caesar and Lewis. They have decided, I put $50 of my own money. It was a free league. They did not take the money. They donated it to Fantasy Cares in the name of the league this morning. So they're each getting a free subscription over at Football Guys. I'm going to take care of that for them. And then they'll both be invited back to the league next year as we start to work out the details on the next Club Fantasy Listener League. But good people all around, and $50 more to Fantasy Cares.
Love that.
Yeah, those guys put that in the chat this morning. It was absolutely phenomenal. Good call by both of them. Congratulations to both of them. Josh, did you see any stories in the chat as you were scrolling through?
Check the stars. There's a whole bunch of them.
I see the stars. I just was looking for actual stories of good or bad. If you
start at the bottom, so let's go.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably starting at the bottom.
Yeah. So Caesar traded Jonathan Taylor for Xavier Leggett in the first.
No. The dude he's playing traded Leggett in a first to buy Taylor last month. Yeah. So he got knocked out by Taylor on a dude who just bought Taylor.
Ouch. Real quick, Matthew Taylor jumping in with a super chat. And this is how you jump the line. I don't care when you put it in. You want to get your question answered, your comment read, whatever. You put this super chat in and you will move directly to the front of the line. Matthew says he's up 28 and his opponents has Jacobs tonight.
Look, I need Kendra Miller to outscore Josh Jacobs by 10. I am right here with you, Matthew. Bad Jacobs week. The only league that I have Jacobs in, I've already locked up a spot in the finals. I will take a dud from Jacobs tonight. As long as he doesn't get hurt, I don't care.
I'm in a similar situation. My only roster Jacobs league, I'm in. That's the one league that I made it. So I'll also take a bad Jacobs league to make this happen.
I like it.
Yep. We'll talk about it in a little while, but there's opportunity for Jacobs to not have the dominant week that he's had over the last few going into this week.
I'm glancing at New Orleans. They haven't given up a week like that since week 10, and they've only given up 3 weeks like that the entire season. So your odds are better than they're not. That's for sure. So.
Don't forget, if you are watching over on YouTube or whatever platform you're on, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you're over there on Twitter, jump over to YouTube and join us in the chat. And like I just said, if you want to jump to the front of the line, hit that super chat for us. We are, as Josh likes to say, whores for money, and we will put you on screen right away. That's how you get to the front of the line. Let's talk about some of these questions that are in here right now. Let's get to the chat real quick. George says, despite not listening to Gator and playing Jerome Ford or not listening to Ryan telling me to play Reed, I win with Patrick Taylor, and holy shit, what a bad move. Somehow he's still up by 12. He's got Jacobs and Kendra, and he has Kendra tonight. So he's got Jacobs on his team, and the person he's playing is playing Kendra.
So unlike Matthew, George needs Jacob to have a good game.
Actually, no, he just needs Jacobs to beat Kendra by 11.
Yeah, I need the opposite, George. Sorry, but
no, but you need no. He's already up 12. So Kendra can beat Jacobs by Josh's 10, and everybody comes out of this happy still. Right now, we are manifesting Kendra by 10 over Jacobs.
There we go.
Let's cut the difference, even 11. How about that?
There we go.
Here we go. George says, but Jesus, that entire 49ers offense had the juices sucked out of them. It was ugly.
We started this whole thing earlier in the season, and I want to give credit where it's due. It may have been Joe Zolo, but it may have also been me. When we started calling Brock Purdy the white Tua, this literally was what this game looked like two Tua Tagovailoas facing each other. It was not a fun game by any stretch, unless you have Devon Achane.
Yeah, it was ugly. Good morning, Caesar. Good morning, Charlene. Good morning. Caesar says, Dynasty Big Money League face JT, and we keep Jacobs and Reed under 36. There we go.
I love that the whole show has agreed we don't want good Josh Jacobs tonight.
Right. Good morning, Albert. Good morning. Caesar says, one grievance, defending champ, had a huge lead in an ESPN second 2-week semifinal.
2 weeks semi.
Faced JD5 and Saquon. He lost by 3.
Wow. I've not done a 2-week semi. I've heard of 2-week finals, and I like the idea.
Those in a long time.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the standard anymore.
Yeah, I hate that. Sorry for the Penix recommendation.
Hey, we all took that L. He was on my list as well. I'm not even going to hold you accountable, Austin. Here's the thing. I was choosing between Penix and Tua, and Austin, I think you were doing the same thing. It's not like Tua smashed him. He beat him by like 8 points. Not to mention that Penix interception was not on him.
Not his fault at all. Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Penix, if not for Jalen Hurts getting hurt, Penix would have been the lowest scoring starting quarterback this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't dig that far into it. That's fucking hilarious. I mean, here's the thing. Rational thinking told us you have one of the best running backs in football. You're going to lean on him. And Bijan fucking ate. He looked good. If this is the Falcons offense we can expect in 2025, I am salivating.
Well, and you also have to think that Penix is going to get better as a thrower. The more defenses he sees, the more, he starts learning coverages, studying playbooks and film and all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing. He did everything that he needed to do, and he looked good doing it. There wasn't any super egregious play that was just dude, that was such a rookie mistake. He played a good game. He did everything within the system that he needed to do. Like we said, the interception, that was all on Pitts.
Yep.
That was not Penix's fault at all. He put it exactly where Pitts needed to catch it. Pitts has just played like Kyle fucking Pitts. It's been so bad this year.
Well, what I also like to see, Penix is not a super mobile guy. He'll move around the pocket.
Yeah.
3 rushing yards, but 0 sacks from the Giants. So that's a big improvement.
And they've had a good pass rush most of the year.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I
thought what was funny was good friend of the show, and as well as Women of Fantasy, Galvanized very own Laura Oakman was on the sideline for that game, and she got Penix to do the interview after the game. I don't know if you guys saw this or not.
I did not.
But she asked him because he's been he's had injuries everywhere he's been, right? And Michael Penix says, you're not supposed to, when you're looking at me, you're not supposed to look at an MRI. You're supposed to look You're supposed to look at what is it, the CT scan or not? Don't look at a CT scan. Look at the heart, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. Look, Michael Penix didn't play horribly. He's a rookie. He didn't go out there and win the game, but he damn sure didn't go out there and lose the game, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, exactly.
So give credit to Michael Penix where it is due. Did what he had to do in order to win the game. And like you said, it wasn't his fault for the interception. It is what it is. Charlene says he made a boneheaded move yesterday and panic swapped Coker in for Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
may have blown her Megla Bowl chances.
Yeah, I mean, I bought into Coker. I had him in a couple DFS lineups. We had obviously liked what we saw the week before, but it was a David Moore week.
Austin says, all right, he played Tyreek over JSN. Ouch. Not only that, but lost Montgomery and Garindo.
Yeah.
And Trevor.
See, this is why we come here. This is the exact reason for this show is just to let it all out, be done with it. Let's move on to the next week, right? Austin also says up 14 is the Packers defense, and he has Jacobs. Oof, it's going to be a sweat.
I'm hoping for a big week for the Packers defense.
It's Spencer Rattler. It's very, very, very possible.
I agree.
Charlene says she had Hurts and Devontae against her husband in the finals for a couples league.
Oof.
Let's go.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Let's get a couple more here. She just says one league I started Hurts, B-Rob, Strange, and still won thanks to the Falcons.
Hey, look at that.
And JJ, of course.
Nah, we'll just give it to the Falcons defense.
Yeah, it was all the Falcons.
We predicted that one.
George says he had the pleasure of going against Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Khalil Shakir.
Yes.
The perfect week to go against them, right? I think we all had.
Amari Cooper. I'm wondering, are the Bills just going to cut Amari Cooper like the Ravens did Deontay? They clearly don't want to fucking use him. So
yeah, it's like you wasted a 4th round pick to go get him.
Yep.
The Ravens clearly don't care.
Ravens don't give up.
You know what's funny is the Ravens gave a 4th round, which is
they gave like a 6th or
it was
5th
a
or
6th.
something. Like it wasn't near what
basically
gave up for Cooper.
They got Cooper and whatever. They got a pick, but basically it's like 3 picks apart as it sits right now. That they moved back 3 picks and got Deontay Johnson for that one game. Austin says, on top of that, in the league, I have Hurts. I forgot to mention the most points. Or the most, what is this?
He's saying in that same league, he had Hurts, which is the most important part. So,
well, that sucks. 2 more. George says, the one great thing about losing this past week is knowing I would have lost this week anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at that sometimes too. Like, well, at least I know I wouldn't have won the championship if I had made one better decision the week before. I have a buddy right now who missed the playoffs by the Josh Allen hook and ladder touchdown, and he would have won every game since that point. So he would have been in the finals. That one play kept him out of the playoffs, and now he's trying to win the consolation bracket. So
I think one of the worst things in semifinals week is when you lose, but knowing that you would have won if you would have played any of the other 2 teams.
Yeah.
We're also in the semifinals.
Yeah.
All right, let's end this one on a good note. The Freak says he made the finals in 5 of 13.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Let's get over to the birthday shots. We will get back to the chat here in just a minute, but the birthday shots, rookies with big games. Jayden Daniels leading it off today, 24 of 39, 257, 5 tutties. 9 carries, 82 yards, led the Commanders in rushing. Malik Neighbors, a so-so day, 7 for 14, 68 yards. Vlad McConkey back on Thursday, 6 of 6, 87 yards. Bo Nix, 29 of 40, 263 and 2 touchdowns, added 25 yards on the ground. Xavier Worthy, which I know we're going to talk about here in a little while, 3 carries, 10 yards, 7 of 11 receiving, 65 yards and a touchdown. Caleb Williams. Hello, Caleb Williams. How are you doing? Yeah. Welcome back to the birthday shots. 26 of 40, 334, 2 touchdowns. Also added 34 yards on the ground, but he did lose a fumble there in the back.
I saw an interesting stat with Caleb Williams because there's all this buzz about the Bears going all in to go get Ben Johnson. in 2 games that the Lions have played the Bears, Caleb Williams has thrown 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He's auditioning for his future head coach.
You know, the bad thing about that is that the Lions had to play that stupid bullshit play to get Sam Laporta in the end zone against the Bears. That was so stupid.
That play
was a funny play. It was a funny play. The best part about that play was, though, Jared Goff on the sidelines afterwards with the tablet in hand, taking it over to Dan Campbell, going, look what I did. Look what I did. It was kind of funny. Roma Duze, 4 of 7, 77 yards, also lost a fumble. Drake May, 22 of 36, 261, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 6 carries, 30 yards, also another fumble there. Man, Brock fucking Bowers.
Yeah, boy.
11 of 13, 99 yards. 1,067 yards on the season. He's only 9 away from Mike Ditka's rookie record of 1,076.
Also only 5 catches away from Puka Nakua's rookie catch record. As a tight
I was looking for that. I couldn't remember where I saw that.
And here's the interesting thing, too. There's not going to be an asterisk next to this in the record books because he's going to do it in 16 games.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the crazy part is he's already right there, and it'll be done next week. Brian Thomas Jr., 9 of 13, 131 yards, touchdown, 1,000 yards for him as well. 9 TDs for him on this season. Very, very nice job for Brian Thomas Jr. And he's done it with fucking nobody at quarterback.
None. Mac Jones, baby.
We talked about Michael Penix a minute ago. 8 for 27, 202, an interception, which wasn't his fault. Added 3 yards on the ground. Again, he looked like a rookie. You know, didn't lose the game, but he didn't win the game. Yeah. Bucky Irvin, 16 carries, 68 yards, a touchdown, 3 for 3 in the passing game, 24 yards. And Tampa is absolutely fucking up by not letting him in the game in the first 2 minutes or in the last 2 minutes of the game. But that's whatever. I'm sorry, was that Michael Penix is 18 of 27? I'm sorry, I said 8 of 27.
Yeah, and I got that incorrect. Stafford actually scored fewer points than Michael Penix, so second worst starting quarterback.
Great. Way to make sure my stream of the week gets mentioned on the show.
Jalen McMillan to close it out, 5 of 7, 57 yards, and got in the end zone again. 4 straight weeks of Jalen McMillan getting into the end zone, I believe it is. 3 straight weeks, I'm sorry. 3 straight weeks of Jalen McMillan getting
4 in 3 games.
4 in 3 games. You're absolutely correct. Real quick, let's go over the injuries. The unnecessary shots of Rumplements, and we got to talk about it. Tank Dell, the knee injury. Ouch. It was brutal. It was gruesome.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, concussion. James Conner, knee injury. Josh Allen had a broken hand, I believe it was, on his non-throwing hand coming into the game, and now he has another hand issue. So both of his hands are hurt. And then, Josh brought it up earlier, CeeDee Lamb, shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the moment of silence for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right, let's dive back over to the chat here. I know there's a couple in here. Josh, did you clear them all? There we go.
No.
George says his family league, he got cooked by Saquon and JT.
Oof. Rough week.
No doubt. In the Optimist Best Ball League, Charlene is up by 0.56 right now.
Oof.
Yeah, Charlene, I'm also in that league, and then we're not going to talk about that. So we're going to skip any other comments about that league. Excuse me. Austin says he needs Jacobs to stay under 18. So we'll see how that goes. Quincy, good morning. Made 2 finals, played Debo and played Ford. Woke up in a dream and said Debo was.
Yeah, that's a good one because, like I said, and he fought for that touchdown. It was ridiculous how hard he fought to get into the end zone there. So,
Josh and I were both fading Debo this week, and apologize.
Oh, everyone should have, except for when you wake up from a dream saying he's due. That's the only time you play Debo.
Pretty much, yeah.
George, how worried should I be about Hurts, James Conner availability next week? I don't want to have to tout out Anthony Richardson and Tua as my 2 QBs.
I wouldn't either.
Jerome Ford. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that either.
I'm concerned about Conner. The twist looked weird. I'm thinking knee sprain. I don't know if they've come out and said anything yet, but with his age, it was a weird twist on that hit. I'm worried about Conner. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts.
Well, and then with the Cardinals being officially eliminated from the playoffs, they have zero reason to continue to trot out Conner. So there's that.
Yeah, so Conner is your concern, but I don't think you need to be all that concerned about Jerome Ford. DTR doesn't throw the ball very far, and it's working out real well for 2 players on this team.
Hurts in the concussion. It just all depends how he's going to bounce back. I mean, we've seen like Devonta Smith miss multiple games dealing with a concussion. I believe we played Dallas this week.
Philly's Dallas is at Philly this week.
Yeah, so I mean, it feels like Hurts is going to want to go, and you can kind of see him on the sidelines even after the initial hit. Like he's giving the thumbs up. Kind of makes me think that maybe it's not that serious, and it was more precautionary, or there were some mild symptoms, but you never know how symptoms will react after the fact and in the coming days. I mean, look, I wouldn't feel comfortable with A-Rich and Tua either, but A-Rich did okay this week.
Say A-Rich is doing the things he's supposed to do if he can keep that up. So
yeah, Jerome Ford, I don't think you should feel too bad. He's got Miami, and that's in Cleveland, so I think you should be all right there. Also, just thoughts on general about having to play players that are on teams eliminated from playoffs, which Josh, you just hit on. Do they historically do worse?
You want to pay attention to contract incentives.
Yeah.
I don't know if the article's dropping this week, but Jeff Bell writes an article every year for Football Guys where he breaks down all the players who are playing for things in the last couple weeks of the season. I don't know if it's just a week 18 article or if he throws week 17, but if you can find out about contract incentives, but yeah, it's a concern, plain and simple. So.
Well, and also too, like if teams or certain players are dealing with like injuries, like especially veteran players, like, I'll double back on James Conner. Like he just got his contract extension. He doesn't need to go out there and hurt himself anymore. The team's already eliminated. I would not want to bank on James Conner the rest of the season.
Yep.
Chuba Hubbard just got his contract extension, but they're so thin at running back. They're going to continue.
They don't have anybody to audition.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. They have nobody else, right? Like you'll have some instances where, maybe the team is going to work on shutting them down, but if they're good to go, you're starting them, plain and simple.
Yeah, there is one that I was reading about the other day, and that was Tony Pollard. He's got some heavy incentives for the
and he's been
playing
banged up
time and that sort of thing.
But he's been banged up. Yeah, and Tajay Spears has scored 4 touchdowns the last 2 games.
And that's my point. That's exactly my point, though. If he's banged up at all, like I said yesterday, Tajay Spears, and I wasn't big on Tajay Spears yesterday, but they didn't want to play Pollard injured. So there is that.
I mean, outside of the 2 touchdowns, though, his stat line wasn't good.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like last week, though, Spears did great in the receiving game and scored the touchdowns, right? He was like 10 for 27. He just had the 2 touchdowns. So that's what made his day so much better than what it was.
Yeah, but 60% snap share. That's the
but again, Pollard went in banged up. So even all the start-sit questions that we got when it came to Tony Pollard, to me, if Tony Pollard is active and they're saying, hey, he's going to play, that tells me he's okay to play. Mm-hmm. I also understand Ryan's rule. I'm not going to start questionable players. But are you going to feel comfortable starting Spears as a result? Yeah. That was kind of my whole point. If the team is going to make Tony Pollard active, that to me means that Tajay Spears is taking a step back.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, if they're gonna if you're feeling anything about any of those players, whether it's a contract issue or the injury issues, whatever, find a pivot. Charlene, I have the opposite. Lost last week in one of my home leagues, and my team went off this week. The guy I lost to gets the team next season.
Interesting. I like that one.
Like that. Okay. All right. Brian Thomas Jr. continues to be on a heater. I don't care how bad the Jags are next year. He's a wide receiver 2 in drafts.
I don't know if he's going to fall there. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't. With the way people get infatuated with these young wide receivers, it'll be tough for him to fall that far.
He's gonna work his way into that low end wide receiver 1 conversation the same way that Drake London and Garrett Wilson did this year.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm glad you brought up rookies and going into next year redraft wise. At this point, are you putting BTJ ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Fuck yeah.
Have to.
Even, I think at this point, it has to be done.
There was someone who expressed concerns about MHJ. It may have been John Lobb. Well, I know you did, but specifically on our airways, someone brought up about the fact that he is stuck as an X receiver, whereas you can take guys like Neighbors and BTJ and move them around. And that's not Harrison's game. And we joked about like, is that too old school? And I was on the other side. I said, no, it's not too old school. If he's the next Larry Fitzgerald, so be it. It might be too fucking old school. So
might be. Final semifinal note, or fun semifinal note. The winning team in each matchup scored the exact same amount of points.
That's pretty wild.
Never seen that before. That is pretty good.
I don't know if it was a glitch on Sleeper this morning, but a team I'm facing was projected for like an hour to score what I scored. I'm in the books with like 158.42, and they were projected at 158.42. Now they're up to 160, so I don't know if that was just a glitch or what happened there, but I'd never seen that before either. So.
Yeah. Josh, I want let's move over to pull one out. RIP to the season because of these guys.
Oh, you didn't want to bring up the last one that I started? Because I thought that was great.
Oh, Debo auditioning for his next team.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think
there's no way the 49ers can keep him.
I also think they're in trouble, plain and simple. I think they're aging
Their
out.
championship run is over.
Yep.
They're an old team. They're getting ready to pay Brock Purdy. Yeah. They need to start hitting on draft picks.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, pour one out for them too.
Yeah, pour one out for the Niners and their fans.
Josh, let's talk about this. Jalen Hurts, 4.5 fantasy points on the day. I will tell you this, as bad as that was because of him going out, as soon as Pickett came in, A.J. Brown got 13 of the 21 targets from that point on, 59% from Pickett.
Yeah, because Pickett knew that Devonta Smith couldn't catch when he needed him to, apparently.
Yeah.
He knew ahead of time.
He forecasted that, him and Barkley both, right? Neither one of them can catch.
I do find it hilarious that Pickett has not grown one bit since last season. He is the exact same player. It's just
no, he really is. I mean, the defense basically said, all right, backup quarterbacks in, we're going to stop Saquon Barkley. And that's exactly what the Commanders did in the second half of that game. And they forced Kenny Pickett to beat him. Kenny Pickett made a couple of pretty good throws. It helps when you have A.J. Brown.
Yep.
But that's really the point that I'm getting
at. He threw some hospital balls too, though. So, yeah.
What's up?
He threw some hospital balls, at least one to Brown.
Of course he did. He's Kenny fucking Pickett.
Exactly. I think back to that draft often because of how wrong we were on Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis. But it's like, I think the Steelers were just way more wrong. Like, it turns out they all should have
spent a first-round pick when everybody else spent a third-round
Well, if you remember coming into that, there was debate about Pickett or Willis, and from idiots like me, Desmond Ridder, should they have been the first quarterback drafted? And like, we were like, oh, did they get a discount on, or did they get the best one out of Pickett? No.
I mean, Brock Purdy came out of that draft, and obviously everybody whiffed on him.
Yeah.
But that was just a bad quarterback class, plain and simple.
Yep.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. Josh Allen, 11.2 fantasy points. Brian Robinson, which we said this, all weekend. 2.1 fantasy points for him. Isaiah Pacheco, 3.5. Joe Mixon, 8.1. Rico Dowdle, who I thought was going to have a better day than he did, 8 fantasy points.
I want to point this out because we got so many questions about pivoting off of Joe Mixon. And the answer was always Rico Dowdle, and they scored the exact same number of fantasy points.
So we weren't wrong.
Exactly, but we also weren't right.
Oh, Jerry Judy. 4.
Who could have seen that one coming?
Yeah.
Everybody in Cleveland, everybody outside of Cleveland, everybody inside the building, Jameis Winston himself, everybody. Khalil Shakir, 4.4 fantasy points.
That's right.
Cooper fucking Kupp, where have you gone?
Yeah. Did not see that coming.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I was touting him.
Jacoby Myers, 6.1 fantasy points. Marvin Harrison Jr., 7.9, yet another dud of a game for him. Juwan Jennings, 9 fantasy points. Brendan Strange, in a game that he should have just absolutely smashed, 2.2 fantasy points. Pat Freiermuth, 4.6 fantasy points. TJ Hawkinson, 4.6. Dalton Kincaid, 5.5. And fucking pour one out for Trey fucking McBride.
That hurts.
I just don't understand this team whatsoever.
I had a prop on him yesterday, 65 yards. Fine. Cool. That should be pretty fucking simple for Trey McBride. In the third quarter, I flip over to look at the prop, and he's got 5.
Yep.
yards. And I'm like, what? That's got to be a fucking typo. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Not at all.
In a way, like obviously every Trey McBride manager would have liked to have seen 100 yards, but if he would have had like another 100-yard game and not scored, that would have been equally frustrating because like, why can't this guy score? But at least he got shut down this week in general.
Well, they can't score because the team's not that good. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I believe Kelly in Phoenix was at the game, and she was tweeting at the game, or she was at least watching the game because she lives out there. But anyway, she was tweeting, and I didn't see the game, but evidently there was what seemed to be by her tweet that there was a pass to Trey McBride, and either at the end zone it got picked or fumbled or something happened, and her tweet was, and yet again, Trey McBride gets blocked from a touchdown.
At this point, I kind of want him not to score just so he'll be in the record books, but
it's so bad.
He's already in the record books.
Yeah, but I'm saying I want him to stay. If he scores a touchdown, it'll still erase it.
That's fair.
I don't want him in the record books for that.
Yeah.
He's too good for that. Real quick, we'll jump back over to the chat. George says, I swear every year the Bills do bad against the Patriots specifically.
Yeah.
God, it's yucky. It's just yucky. But yes, pour one out for Joe Mixon. His end of year fall off has been for the record books.
Yeah.
Not great, Bob.
Not great.
I mean, to be fair, he was just overperforming. The Texans were never a good team, and he was overperforming. And now he's an older back on a bad team, and the hits have caught up with him. So,
good morning, Craig. Jumping in here, he says, "What hurt me was the hurts and not sure next week."
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I mean, concussions are tricky. You never know how one person's going to react to them. You'd like to think that he'll be fine for next week. It's Dallas. He's going to want to be fine for next week, but time will tell.
Yep.
Charlene jumping in saying that's just like the Ravens and the Steelers pulling it off. Quick note on that game, though. Did you know the Mark Andrews touchdown catch was his first touchdown catch against the Steelers?
No.
I mean, I believe it. Lamar's only thrown 5 career touchdown passes before this week against the Steelers. In 5 games.
I heard that at the end. They were actually talking to Lamar about that. Like that was his, and Lamar was like, what? Who? Mark? No, not Mark Andrews. But yeah, Mark Andrews' first touchdown catch against the Steelers. Killis says, Jayden and the Falcons DST won me the week. Unfortunately, might lose Connor for next week.
Definitely plan for a Connor pivot. We talked about that a little earlier as well.
Well, but did you bring up, should we pivot over to Trey Benson or no?
He's out.
Well, he could be. Benson's not on IR. He could be back next week. Oh. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't know that I'm jumping to start any Cardinal at this point. So.
Fair, very, very.
Cardinals even play next week. Let me see.
George says, we still fading running backs approaching that 30-year age cliff.
Depends on the running back.
I was just going to say, we were all fools to have doubted Derrick Henry, but there's also one Derrick Henry for a reason. So, yeah, I'll probably still fade older running backs. I mean, I don't fade older running backs to begin with.
Don't worry, Ryan. This will be in our DMs next week on Sunday morning. Do we pivot to
DJ Dallas, baby? I was a big DJ Dallas guy when he was in Seattle. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, Cardinals get the Rams on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's that. Remember the Rams and Jets? Get ready for part 2.
Oh, thanks for the downer. Let's get over to the shot of espresso quality performances. They got the juices flowing. And Ryan, you got the thumbnail again this week. Talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, how could it not be Jonathan Taylor?
I feel like I made a compelling case for other people.
You have, but I will just throw out, I think what makes Jonathan Taylor the most interesting is the redemption story aspect of it. A lot of people thought Jonathan Taylor knocked them out of the playoffs last week with the goal line fumble. And obviously someone made the joke that he was going to get to the back of the end zone before he let go of the ball this week. Well, guess what? He had 3 tries at that. 218 yards.
And he went in the tunnel. He just kept going.
Yep. 218 yards, 3 touchdowns, but not even just 3 touchdowns. If you play in leagues where long touchdowns get you more points, 65 yards and 70 yards it felt good to see Jonathan Taylor look like Jonathan Taylor again. But it also was a reminder of what his game is. He is one of the best pure runners in football. He's actually 8th in the league in total rushing yards right now, which is pretty incredible because I would not have thought that. 1,129 rushing yards with 2 games left to go. He's not going to hit his sophomore season, but he's going to beat his rookie season. But in this same game, not one target in the passing game. On the season, 25 targets all year, only 122 receiving yards. He is limited in this offense. He is putting it bluntly, I know what he did this week. He's still just an RB2 in fantasy. He does not have the passing upside it takes to be an RB1.
He is RB20 on the season currently.
And that's after this week.
In total points. Points.
Yep.
Yeah,
he does have the receiving chops. I think he's limited.
Oh, he does. It's the offense. Yeah, I'm not knocking Taylor. I'm knocking the offense.
Okay.
He's RB13 in points per game for what it's worth. But yeah, that's still RB2.
The best RB2 in fantasy.
There you go.
So I'm sitting there watching the games yesterday and my phone gets alerted, right? 65-yard touchdown, Jonathan Taylor. It didn't seem like it was like 10 minutes later.
It wasn't.
Jonathan Taylor, 70-yard touchdown. I'm like, wait, is that just like, did they just have to edit the yardage? Because I felt like I was a Saquon Barkley game again from a few weeks ago, right? Josh, who you starting off with tonight?
My first one is Jayden Daniels. I'm going to give flowers where they're due. Eagles have the top defense in the league. They're averaging 176 yards allowed per game. And Jayden Daniels comes in and puts up 5 touchdowns on them. Now, granted, the Washington offense managed 5 turnovers. So you caught shades of how good this Eagles defense is. And Jayden Daniels just willed this Washington team to victory. Hats off where they're due. He played a phenomenal game. Yes, he had the 2 interceptions, but 258 passing yards, another 81 yards rushing, 9 yards per carry on the ground, but 5 touchdown passes against a really talented secondary, which granted lost CJ Gardner-Johnson in the middle of the game for some 2 BS taunting penalties. Which, mind you, one of them, he got hit in the face and they called the penalty on him, mind you. Yeah. Fucking wild. But regardless, hats off. Commanders 10 wins this season. Haven't done that since RG3's rookie season. If Jayden Daniels is not your rookie of the year, you need to reconsider what you're considering as rookie of the year.
I mean, he has to be if they're going to make the playoffs. Like, you can't not make him the rookie of the year at this point.
Exactly. Well, the Commanders' victory knocks Dallas out of playoff contention.
Yeah,
which I'm always happy about that. So.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know though. I don't know if you want to face Washington in the playoffs right now either, though. So
look, if we have a healthy Jalen Hurts,
yeah, it's a different.
We're winning this game. I mean, we're not losing a game where we create 5 turnovers with our starting quarterback.
Yeah, 100%.
Couple stats on that game that I thought were really cool for Jayden Daniels. On 3rd and 4th down, 6 of 8, 60 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4 rushes, 48 yards on 3rd and 4th down alone.
Yeah.
Big time baller there. I am so glad in our chat between the 3 of us, this guy tried to steal somebody, Ryan, from us. And thankfully you jumped in there, took him back. Do not let these jump on the bandwagon people come in here at the last minute.
I welcome the bandwagon jumpers. Come on in.
Okay, first off, he was my QB1 last year. All right. Shut up with this whole, you're jumping on the bandwagon now.
Come on in. There's enough Bryce Young for all of us. But Josh was going to make him a bonus pick, and I can't allow 8 straight games of touchdowns to be a bonus pick. And obviously, Bryce Young has not set the world on fire. In this span, hasn't hit 300 passing yards. This was only his second 2-touchdown game passing. But I want to talk about something that we hadn't seen from Bryce Young as a rookie. This kid is moving with his legs extremely well. When I covered them in the preseason, there was a lot of talk about him moving in the pocket better, and we're seeing that now. When he's moving, that's when he's finding Adam Thielen. That's when he's dropping dime balls to David Moore. But more importantly, this week, 68 rushing yards, which I believe is a career high, and another rushing touchdown. That is 3 rushing touchdowns in his last 4 games to go along with this 8-touchdown streak. All I could think about during the game was, I'm glad I didn't sell him in the dynasties, Josh, because he was my QB1 as well. I'm glad I didn't sell him in the dynasties where I had him, but I'm actually super pissed that I didn't go out and buy more of him. Because right now, right now, he feels like if you were able to buy Bryce Young in a super flex for a third, and I know that's a bit of a stretch, but it probably could have happened. Even a second, you probably hit a home run because I feel like you have your QB2 pretty easily now, Josh.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was talk after he got benched. It's like, hey, you know what? Throw a third round pick at him. I know our buddy Io and Mike from South Harmon, like they were talking about this. Like he's a QB hoarder. It's like he is the first overall pick. Yeah, he got benched. Sure, it's an uphill battle. All of this stuff that is working against him. What are you spending a third round pick on? A dart throw. What is Bryce Young at getting benched? A dart throw. If you're in a dynasty league, you take that shot because if the course corrects, which it looks like it has, now you've got a free QB2. Plain and simple. At minimum, a free QB2.
Bonus to that conversation is he has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Cooper Kupp, all right, if Cooper Rush can do it, Bryce Young can damn sure do it. So, yeah.
You get him a legitimate wide receiver, you're going to start seeing 300-yard passing games.
Yep.
Like, honestly, if you're T. Higgins, your options in free agency, I'm going to discount the Bengals because they can't afford to pay Jamar Chase what they're about to pay Jamar Chase on top of giving T. Higgins close to $30 million a year. Your options are probably Los Angeles with the Chargers, if they prioritize getting Herbert a legitimate wide receiver 1, or Carolina.
Yeah.
You've got to compete with Ladd McConkey, who clearly Justin Herbert loves, or go to Carolina, where you have roots, because you went to school in South Carolina.
I was just going to say.
And play with Bryce Young and be the top dog.
But that was the same conversation we had last offseason or during T. Higgins' holdout, too, was Carolina.
Well, yeah, like Carolina needs to go all in to get him, plain and simple.
That's very true.
The Bengals never let him get there because they franchise tagged him, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you're T. Higgins, now you have the opportunity to choose where you want to go. Like, for me, you go play with Justin Herbert. I get that. But if you want the most money and you want the top dog billing, it's Carolina, right?
I think it's the move.
Real quick to add on to Bryce Young, give a little bit of prop to Dave Canales. I mean, look at what he's done over the last couple of years. Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and now it took a little bit of time, but now Bryce Young. So awesome job to see that happening. Glad to see that me and Ryan were correct the whole time. Ryan, whatever. Josh, thank you for your input on this, but go ahead and talk about your next guy.
Fuck you, Gator. It's David Njoku for me. Tight end 5 on the week, 14.6 fantasy points. Nothing crazy. There was only 12 tight ends that hit even the 10 fantasy point mark. But, I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 months. David Njoku is a top 5 tight end in fantasy football. Yes, he's had some ups and downs, just like every other tight end. And I'll even include Brock Bowers in that. Brock Bowers had 6 fantasy points last week. It wasn't great. But the move to DTR, it was Panic City. It was, oh crap, every single Browns pass catcher is dead on arrival. Mm-hmm. Well, David Njoku is a tight end. He's going to work within that 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And DTR ain't throwing much. Talked about this literally all week. DTR has not thrown in his career more than 165 passing yards per game. He hit 156 this week. So again, under that 165. But guess who had 66 of those yards? David Njoku on 8 catches and 10 targets. Yep. Right now, the only people you can feel comfortable about in this Browns offense with DTR at quarterback are David Njoku and Jerome Ford. Plain and simple. And there's going to be times where teams are going to stack the box to stop Jerome Ford. They're not going to do that with David Njoku. He's going to be the guy, to me, that is the most reliable. And if you've made it to your fantasy championships with David Njoku, you should feel confident in starting him.
Ryan, go ahead. Who's your guy?
It's kind of a victory lap. An early one, but a victory lap. Jared Goff. 3 more touchdowns this week. QB3 on the week. The design stumble was fucking bananas. Hilarious. I love seeing it. 15 touchdowns in his last 4 games. But when I ranked Jared Goff very highly to start this season, I had him as my QB 8, I believe. Basically, I just kept getting told regression. it was his best season, he's not going to throw for 30 touchdowns again. 33 in 15 games, still 2 games to go, and they still have something to play for. 4,095 yards, only 400 yards away from what he did last season, or 500 yards away from what he did last season. Jared Goff was great last season, and he's going to turn around and be even better this season, plain and simple. We got to put a little respect on him. Obviously, he had some down games early. A lot of people probably moved out from him early because, dome game Jared Goff. It took a little while, but after week 2, when he had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and obviously there was the 5 interception game in week 10. But after that week, he's thrown a touchdown in every game except for one. Week 12, he went 0-0. But every touchdown in every game this season, except for 2 games the entire season. And like I said, his recent hot streak has been scorching hot. And, I like seeing it from the Detroit Lions. They're a team that's worth rooting for.
You had him at QB 8.
I think so.
Heading into the season, Ryan. Currently QB 7 in points per game.
There you go.
He's second in the league in passing yards.
Turns out
Fourth
I know
in the league in passing touchdowns.
I'm talking about. Let's see where I had him. I'm bringing up my draft rankings right now.
Yeah, as you're doing that, I don't know. You said maybe
I had him at QB 11 personally. But.
You said maybe a couple down games, and I don't know that they were necessarily down games. I think it was more game script.
Dude, he had one game with 5 interceptions. Don't sit there and try to sugarcoat that. That's a bad game.
One game where he had a that bad of a game. But when you look at the overall stats at his per game, I mean, he just didn't throw the ball a ton, and we expected maybe a little bit more throwing. But how do you do that when you have the double-headed backfield of Montgomery and Gibbs? Now, maybe we'll see a lot more from Goff as the week goes this week with no Montgomery again.
Yeah,
but, I mean, he's had 3 games this season in single digits.
Like I said, it's been a weird season. What I was happy to see is now in 2 out of his last 3 games, when coming into the season, I told people I'm slightly worried about the outdoor game in Green Bay and the outdoor game in Chicago, 2 of his best games of the season.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, now he gets San Francisco in championship week. So,
yep.
Props to him. All right, Josh, who you got next?
So I was fully leaning towards just throwing Justin Jefferson because, we talked about how, great he was, the Minnesota comeback, all this other crap. But I said, you know what? I want to show a little bit of love to somebody that nobody fucking started, but that we've talked about quite a bit on Wiretapped, our waiver wire show on Tuesday mornings. Yeah. Kayshon Boutte finished as the wide receiver 12 on Sunday, 20.5 fantasy points. And we've talked about him on the waiver show because of all the Patriots wide receivers. He's out there running routes. He's just not seeing targets. Those wind sprints finally paid off.
Yeah, well, lots of cardio.
7 targets, 5 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Look, he fell in the draft because of character concerns. He was a great freshman at LSU. Very talented kid. The 6th round could have very easily been a steal if he's able to put it all together. We know the quarterback issues that they've had. Seems like they've hit on Drake May. Now you need to build the pieces around him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Kayshon Boutte is going to be a thing going into year 3. Patriots are going to do anything and everything to find a legitimate wide receiver 1. But if he can put together like a Romeo Doubs role in this offense,
yeah, nice.
And be a strong outside wide receiver, he can be a top 40 wide receiver in fantasy. I think that's good enough in best ball at minimum. So I just want to give some props to Kayshon Boutte, showing that, hey, the talent is there. Get him the damn ball. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, finally got a quarterback that can get him the damn ball.
Exactly.
So, of course, I guess Mac Jones could have gotten the ball if he'd have tried, because he gets damn Brian Thomas Jr. the ball. So there is that. My bonus for today, James Conner, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Missed all of the second half, or most of the second half, but still put up 166 total yards and a TD. Surpassed 1,000 yards rushing for the 2nd year in a row. 26.6 fantasy points scored yesterday, again, in the first half.
Yeah.
Running back 6 on the week, I believe. And if he is available next week against the Rams, top 10 pick for me.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad thing.
All right, let's get into some more of the chat here. George says, how does one join the club fantasy league next year? We kind of hit on this, I think, there might be some news coming out about this in the offseason.
Yeah, I was going to say how we did it last year. We had Jay ran a couple of them, and then mine was specific to folks who could draft live with us on Mock It Like It's Hot. So they'll exist. And George, we're in contact enough on Twitter. We'll make sure you get invited to at least one of them. It's just with mine, there will be a live draft. So you got to be able to draft during a specific time frame. So
with mine, there'll be a live draft.
That's right, bitches. We draft live.
Charlene, I'm going to go against Josh Allen and JT in the finals in my girls' league next week.
Well, you know what? Maybe this is the week again that, Josh Allen maybe goes off, but Jonathan Taylor fumbles.
I was going to say that's likely what's going to happen is it's going to go back to how it was 2 weeks ago. So
Jonathan Taylor goes up against the Giants. Come on.
Okay, never mind.
Sorry. Rest in peace, Charlie.
Yeah, second place is good too.
I'd like to give my flowers to the refs of the Chiefs game. It's not the refs of the Chiefs game this week. It is the ball boy of the Chiefs game this week.
That was crazy.
Flowers for calling the timeout.
I'll give you the timeout. That was so very clearly a pass. Now, roughing the passer, we can argue all day. That ball was in his hand and that ball was moving forward. That was an incomplete pass. That was not a fumble. But roughing the passer is questionable. But the timeout from the ball boy, shit is getting weird at this point. So.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Trone, I had Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin stack, and now the championship game. And now in the championship game, drafted JD5, and he's my QB1.
Yeah.
Jayden Daniels arguably been the most valuable based on draft position fantasy draft pick this year.
This is not starting.
I say arguably because you can make a case for someone like Chuba Hubbard as well.
Yeah.
Josh, you didn't start this one, but I got to bring it up because I kind of feel Charlene's pain here. Cupp and Stafford put me into the toilet bowl.
You should have saved that for literally the next segment because.
Well, I already talked about Stafford a little bit. Kittle got me 10 points.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, I guess that's good because, well, it's Kittle. Should have gotten more, but it's the 49ers, so we couldn't expect too much, I guess.
Exactly.
Eli the Reaper team went off last week, had Gibbs, ASB, Hubbard, Falcons D winning by 25. Still have Love and Dobbs tonight.
I love how many of our people started the Falcons defense because what a fucking home run there.
Yeah.
And we just kept talking
about We had quite
a
few questions about the Falcons.
Well, we just kept talking about how much they were getting after the quarterback. So
yeah, that's what you want from a fantasy defense. You need them getting after the quarterback.
Yeah. Drafted
Drew Lock threw 2 interceptions, I believe. So.
Yeah. Did you see the Matthew Judon interception, though?
That was crazy.
It was like he handed it to him. It wasn't really an interception. It was more of a, here you go.
Yeah.
And it's just wild.
And as of right now, the Giants are going to have their pick of who they want at quarterback because they're sitting at number 1 overall.
Is probably the pick there.
Don't sleep on Cam Ward. Thank you very much.
I'm sleeping on all these guys.
Yeah. Drafted Hubbard in the 9th round. I bet the rest of the league is heated. Steal of his draft, or steal of his career, fantasy football career. Deep sleeper to play over Kelsey, who hadn't scored more than 6 in a standard league.
I haven't started looking yet. Noah Gray.
Gray wasn't great this week either.
No, I mean, tight ends weren't great this week. So I haven't, I'm not giving up on Brenton Strange yet, but I have not started digging into matchups or anything. But
I thought it was really interesting to see Chigo Okonkwo as the tight end 2 this week.
And that's like 3 out of the last 4 weeks Okonkwo has been playable. So
yeah, it's Mason Rudolph at quarterback. That's why it's not Will Mayonnaise. Levis. Quincy, props to you for having the cojones to do this. Started Jayden Daniels over Hurts. Very risky, and he was shaking in his boots.
I mean, the only time I have both of those guys is if it's a super flex league, and I'm starting both of them.
Well, I think Quincy was talking. It may have been Quincy, but I've dealt with a lot of folks who got Daniels at such a value.
Yeah.
And then couldn't find a trade market.
You got to find a way to trade one of them,
but
right?
Like I said, there were people who just refused to trade for a quarterback, which I understand.
And I get that.
But they should have traded, and now you just shake your riches in their face. So
there you go.
Charlene says, "Go buy a lottery ticket."
Yeah, right.
George, props to Jalen McMillan. He valuable start next week. He's 100%. The wide receiver 2 on the team right now.
Yep.
Sterling Shepard left hurt too.
Yeah. Oh, and they have Carolina. Yes, 100%.
Yep. All right, we will get back to you chat here shortly. Let's get over to the migraine. Worse than a hangover, underwhelming performance is a prelude of what is to come. And Josh, you're going to hurt Charlene's feelings with this, but go right ahead.
Yeah, the addendum that I wanted to put on this section for this week and probably next week as well. How does this set up for 2025?
Yeah, I saw that after I put my answer, so mine will be
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I'll do that for my section. That's cool. But it's Cooper Kupp for me. We get it. The name rings bells and everybody loves it, right? We got to remember this guy is going to be 32 years old next year, and his starting quarterback is 37. Yeah. We've seen older quarterbacks take a big downturn this year. Kirk Cousins getting benched. Aaron Rodgers hasn't won in a century, it feels like. I mean, we're long away from the MVP years with Aaron Rodgers. Yes, the Rams are in a position right now to win the NFC West, but we're long past this like weekly top 10 upside finish with Cooper Kupp. This is Puka Nakua's wide receiver room.
100%.
And we need to stop treating him for what he has been and start treating him for who he is now. Sure, he might potentially have some pop weeks, but in my opinion, he's nothing more than a flex option at best, the way that he's operating in this offense. He hasn't had a fully healthy season in 3 seasons.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to argue with you. He is still as reliable as ever when they throw him the ball. But the fact of the matter is you have a better version of him now, and Stafford's going to force the ball to
and he can't separate. This is why they jettisoned Robert Woods. He couldn't move.
Yeah, why force it to Cooper Kupp when Puka Nakua is actually open? So
exactly.
Yeah, that's hurting people's feelings, but it is what it is. It's the life of fantasy football right there. Yeah. Ryan, who you got?
We talked about this. I did find one interesting stat just to throw on here. You can't trust the Browns wide receivers for the rest of the playoffs. So, next week, week 17, I put 16 in the notes. 4 catches for 41 yards combined. All of them. 4 catches for 41 yards from the wide receivers. Meanwhile, as Josh pointed out, 8 catches for David Njoku, 66 yards. 5 catches for Jerome Ford, 39 yards. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will not throw the ball outside of the hash marks. He is safe. He is a runner. This is not an offense you want any part of. Njoku, Ford, that's it. I know what Jerry Jeudy did 2 weeks ago. This is not that team anymore. Time to move on. You cannot trust the Browns receivers.
Unless it comes out tomorrow that they're starting.
They're not going to.
Instant, I know.
I heard this interesting stat during the game. We're not really a stat, but this anecdotal story. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is always thrown into games with little to no preparation. So the Browns want to see what he can do if he is the named starter, is what I've heard. I also heard this crazy story that it is known around the league. The Browns may be willing to trade their first pick, the 4th overall pick, to get someone to take Deshaun Watson's salary off their books. If they trade him, it's an $80 million dead cap hit versus 172 if they cut him.
Damn.
So they'll give up the 4th pick and Deshaun Watson. All you got to do is take Deshaun Watson.
Is pay Deshaun Watson $92 million because the other 80 is coming from Cleveland. So,
all right, I'm going to pose this. You mentioned the 4th overall pick. Their current draft spot, I believe, is 5, but still.
Okay, it was 4 when I read the story from the
top 5
guy.
pick.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to take on that type of money for your salary cap, just to make sure that you get a high-end talent at 5, would you do it? Now, I'm gonna pull up the names of the teams that actually have significant cap space.
The team that was alluded to was the Carolina Panthers, because the team that gets him is going to cut him. They're not going to keep Deshaun Watson. They're going to sign him and cut him. It's much like what the Browns did with Brock Osweiler from Houston a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but the Panthers don't have a ton of cap space. They only have $32.4 million.
Oh, for some reason, I thought they did. So.
No, I mean, your top 5 are the Patriots, the Raiders, Commanders, Cardinals, Bears. All of them have over 80 million currently in cap space.
See, Commanders are super interesting because they have a playoff team already. And if you can just eat some dead cap to bring in the 5th pick of the draft, especially if that means you get Travis Hunter. That's super interesting.
I don't know if it works this way or not, but I think the only way that a team like the Commanders or the Giants or even the Patriots, for that matter, would entertain this is if that $80 million could be restructured and stretched out over a 3-year, 4-year period.
From the way the guy told the story, they would be cutting him immediately, so it's an immediate dead cap hit. It's a cap hit next year. So essentially, the Browns would eat, The Browns would eat 90 next year, and whoever takes him would eat 82 next year.
Yeah, because basically, so like the way that cap structure, the original team, the Browns, they're the ones that are on hook for like the signing bonus, right?
Yep.
So once he's traded, all the team that acquires him is set up for is just the actual contract, right?
Yep.
So if they wait and cut him at June 1st, they can split that dead cap over 2 years. So I like the idea with the Commanders. The only thing that I would worry about is they've worked so hard to recreate or restructure everything in that organization for the positive.
Is this where you would fuck around and do some dumb
shit?
Is
this, I mean, again, like the idea, of course, is that you acquire him, get that top pick, you get the, you cut him, you release him, you cut bait, it is what it is. And you're just taking on the dead cap for the chance to get, just to increase the life of, Jayden Daniels' rookie contract, right? When he's not making a ton of money.
Exactly.
And you load up with another top 5 pick plus your first round pick. But does that disrupt the culture just on the idea that you are acquiring him regardless?
I'm going to rewind all the way back to something, though. I didn't think about this when I told this story, but let's not forget the other 31 owners were fucking furious at what the Browns did and fucked the entire market up with. They made the Browns
help them
to go fuck yourself. Exactly. Yep. So,
yeah, but it only takes one owner to say, but I get a top 5 pick.
But I get a top 5 pick. Exactly. So now it'll be interesting. But yeah, just throwing that out there. Long story short, where this all started from, nobody's playing Jerry Jeudy after this week. He is unplayable. Don't get cute with Jerry Jeudy. So
yeah, keep an eye on the internet for PR firms that have just gotten hired by NFL franchises.
Watch. When you hear a new PR firm, a new women-led PR firm, all of a sudden you know where that's going.
Good Lord.
I want to bring this up really quick because George puts it in the chat. The Giants cap situation currently, they are 14th most, a little over 52 million in cap space.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, too, these are very rough numbers because the salary cap doesn't actually get announced until March. With the revenues continuing to go up, there's a chance that the projected could be even higher. And some of these teams, will have more cap space. But also, too, if you have available cap space currently from this year, that rolls into the next year as well.
Yeah, if you remember at the beginning of this year, it actually was don't remember the exact number, but it was like 10% higher than what was expected.
And what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So because of the revenue and all. So yeah, that's very, very, very good point, Josh. Let's move over to the morning mimosa, everything that got you feeling a little tingly yesterday. Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm just going to name both these guys right off the bat because I want to try to get through the rest of the show. But I'm going to go with a couple of rookies here. Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Worthy. Both of them have started to come on strong. We've talked a lot about Brian Thomas Jr. He's the only rookie wide receiver this year over 1,000 yards. I said wide receiver because, yes, Brock Bowers is still a pass catcher. But his 9 touchdowns over his last 5 games, he has 13 or more fantasy points. And he is combined for 60.7 in the last 2 weeks. 73 catches, 1,088 yards, and 9 touchdowns on this season, and he still has 2 games to go.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of conversations next year. Who would you rather have? Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yep.
I'm honestly curious who you guys would take right now.
Oh,
next
Malik
year.
Neighbors, without a doubt.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, look, he's gonna get a rookie quarterback too, still behind a bad offensive line.
We need to know what's going on with that offense in general because I was going to bring up that offense.
Yeah, you might end up getting rid of Brian Dable and getting a whole new coordinator in there. Yeah. Absolutely, I get that.
Ryan, I'll throw this at you. Since returning from injury, when Brian Thomas got injured for those, whatever, I think it was 2 weeks, since returning, averaging 12 targets per game, wide receiver 1, 30.4 target share, wide receiver 3, 99.8 receiving yards per game. Wide receiver 2, 24 fantasy points per game.
Good
Wide receiver
Lord.
1. Now,
Yeah.
let's ask the question again. Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors.
I'm gonna hold on to my priors and still say Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I think it's a very valid conversation,
valid.
especially when you look at how the Giants and Brian Dable have used Malik Neighbors. They've used him like he's barely averaging 10 yards a catch, right? They're
so
going at Brian Thomas Jr. downfield, 14.9 yards per reception, which lines up to what he did in college, right? So, like, to me, again, if the Giants just clean house, they bring in a new, head coach, coordinator, you're obviously getting a new head coach or a new quarterback with them currently sitting at the number 1 overall pick. Sure, people are going to try to maybe over project Neighbors because of the flashes that we saw this year. Maybe instead of trying to over project, take what you're already seeing. You know what I mean?
I will throw out there, Jags could be in a similar situation with a whole new offense, probably the same quarterback.
No, and they will be 100%. They will be. I agree. And they're currently sitting at, I believe, pick 3. So there's that. But I also want to give a shout out to Xavier Worthy. 40.1 fantasy points the last 2 weeks, back-to-back 11 target games. He has 6, 7, 6, 11, and 11 targets over his last 5. We've talked about him having a bad season. He's going to hit 100 targets this year if he's healthy over the next 2 games. And he scored 8 total touchdowns already. Currently, Xavier Worthy sits at 89 targets, 51 catches, 559 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns, but has added 94 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. I want to throw everybody into a tizzy. Tyreek Hill's rookie numbers. 83 targets, 61 catches, 593 yards, 6 touchdowns. Add in 267 and 4 rushing touchdowns.
There you go.
This is the trajectory that KC envisioned when they selected Xavier Worthy. And now he's starting to figure it out as a receiver. You get Hollywood Brown back, you mix in the veterans, at DeAndre Hopkins. We know how much defensive attention Travis Kelce brings. Xavier Worthy just needs to find his spots, and he's starting to find his spots.
Very interesting. I very interesting stat line there with comparing him to Tyreek.
KC knew what they were doing when they drafted Xavier Worthy. I'm just throwing that out there.
Ryan, who's your guys?
I'll be super quick as well. Jalen McMillan, as Jay can tell you, Jalen's game fits Baker Mayfield's game. The interception to kind of lose the game last night, he was targeting Jalen McMillan. Like he likes what Jalen McMillan brings to this team. I am concerned about target volume with Chris Godwin back next year, but there's also going to be better targets. When Jalen McMillan gets to flat out face a third corner because you got to worry about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I'm assuming we're going to finally get Tampa Bay with a consistent offense. The offense they're running this year should be the offense they're running next year. And you have to be happy what you've seen out of McMillan specifically in these last 3 games. And then I'm going to say a name that we saw. Jay, I'll let you talk about McMillan here in a second, but I'm going to throw out one quick thing. A guy who I talked about last year, and I like what I'm seeing out of him again this year, assuming T. Higgins leaves. Andrei Iosivas is a name you need to know. Doubled his targets from last year, 4 touchdowns last year, but they all came in the last 3 games. 6 touchdowns this year, all spread out, but way more importantly, 13.2 yards per catch, more than doubled his yards on just double his targets. If Yoshi gets to take over as the number 2 wide receiver in a Joe Burrow-led offense, the sky is the limit for this kid. So I'm going to assume T. Higgins is gone, and Andrei Iosivas is the name you want to know heading into 2025.
I want to bring this up, Ryan, really quick, because you mentioned with Jalen McMillan, with Chris Godwin coming back next year. Chris Godwin has a void in his contract. There's a chance he's not back. And coming off an ACL injury, you might be looking at the wide receiver 2 in Tampa.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to bring up. So yeah, I think what he's done over the last 3 to 4 weeks has been the audition to find out, does Tampa go and spend the money right now? As much as I would hate not having Chris Godwin on the team, does Tampa need to spend that money, or do we already have the Godwin replacement in McMillan? And can we move on to something else where we have other holes on the defense and head coaching positions?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that you guys probably work out like a quote 1-year prove it deal just to lessen the cap hit for 2025 and maybe bring a little bit of dead money into 2026 just to kind of even it out over the cap years. But again, coming off an ACL injury, it's going to be a slow start. That's going to be every opportunity for Jalen McMillan to still continue to be involved in this offense and potentially even lap Chris Godwin if he takes forever to, come back to being Chris Godwin.
100%. Real quick stat of the day. The Bucs are now 0-6 when the opponent scores first this year. But more importantly, the best stat of the day, Brandon Aubrey, 14 field goals of 50-plus yards this season, tying Blair Walsh's NFL record from 2012. Kamani Fairbairn, though, he's 13 right now. He's got 13 this season, so we could have a double breaking record next week.
Well, I was digging into this because I'm a nerd, and this is the kind of stuff I dig into. I was shocked at how many long field goal makes there have been this season. I don't have the numbers right in front of me because it was like 3 weeks ago I was looking into it, but there were a bunch of players at like the halfway point that were pacing for over 10 50-yard field goals made, which is incredible. It's not what you normally deal with. So
now this new generation of kickers is insane.
Yeah.
And plus now, you look at the league as a whole, and you didn't have all the dome stadiums or indoor stadiums you had 15 years ago.
It also made me think, though, Josh, when I was watching the Eagles yesterday, Elliott short-legged a 55-yarder, and I'm like, how long?
Dude has been so bad beyond 50 this year.
How long are we gonna keep these older quarterbacks around who are short-legging 55-yarders when you have these guys who can boot it from 70 now? So.
Josh, I just want to bring this up because I think I was right about this play on Saturday whenever before the game. But thank you, Justin Tucker, for finally being able to make field goals.
It finished kicker 7, I think.
Yeah, so just as bad as it's been all year for him, finally back in the good graces of.
Well, he was kicker 5, I believe. Well, and I think it was like Tucker or Will Lutz or something like that. Maybe that was Thursday. I don't know. The other guy wasn't too far behind him, so it wasn't like a miss by any chance. Like Tucker scored like 1 or 2 points more, but 1 or 2 points is still 1 or 2 points.
Doesn't matter. As bad as it's been all year long for him, he finally got back in the good graces of the kicking gods. So couple quick chat questions here. Up 26, my opponent has Miller and McManus. Are we good with the win?
McManus might be your biggest worry here.
Yeah, right. Look, I'm going to say no because I need Kendre Miller to have a good week.
Yeah. I'm mildly concerned that we're going to see Kendre Miller hit a 15-point week, and I think McManus can beat 11. I think you're in a little trouble, Steve.
Yeah, it's in New Orleans tonight too, right?
No, it's in Green Bay.
Oh, okay. So we shall see.
The only thing that might worry me here with Miller is the fact that Darren Rizzi, the interim head coach, was talking about a committee approach, and Jamal Williams knows how to run in Green Bay, blah, blah, blah. Jamal Williams forgot how to run, period. Yeah. So I'm really not worried about him. And you need to see what Kendre Miller can do.
We know who Jamal Williams is.
Yeah.
Touchdown vulture.
Saints aren't fighting for anything right now. You're fighting for 2025. Jamal Williams is not in your 2025 plans.
Yeah.
Kendre Miller 1,000% is. Be smart, Saints. Be smart.
George says
in your life.
The last random 70-yard touchdown run from HN had him shook.
Dude, this is the reason that I am in the position that I'm in where I need Kendre Miller to outscore Josh Jacobs by 10 points because of that fucking 70-yard touchdown run. But I will say that run also gave me hope in that league against Kelly where I ended up losing by less than 5 points, but I wouldn't have been that close without that touchdown run. So
there you go.
Fantasy football in a nutshell.
Yeah, when you play in as many leagues as we do, God, you just find yourself rooting against your own interests so often.
It's so bad. I'm looking at some leagues and I'm like, oh yes, I need him to go off. For instance, yesterday, I needed AJ Brown to go off or at least have a decent, solid game, which, hey, he had a solid game. Yeah. And then I look at my other league that I'm also in, the semifinals, and the other team has AJ Brown. I'm like, God dang it.
A few years ago,
how do I adjust this to
a few years ago, I actually had the opposite of you, Jay. It was a Keenan Allen game where I needed him to score like 7 points to win one league, but not 9 points and then he scored 8. So I straight up I scored 6. Long story short, he scored just enough for me to lose in both leagues. And I'm like, fuck you, Keenan Allen.
Yeah, and then I find myself comparing my notes to what I have with my underdog slips, and it's like, damn it, I want Bucky to get 69 yards. I want Bucky to get a touchdown for my betting slip, but I'm also playing him, and I don't need him to get that touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's such a fun grind and sweat. Quincy, I have Gibbs and Kyron and Jayden Daniels. People told me that the draft 2 running backs won't work, and now I'm in the finals.
Not me, baby.
I was going to say, this is why you listen to us, because Ryan and Joe continually preach, get your running backs early, plain and simple.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if you like 2 RB, wait till you try 4 RB next year. It works out real fucking nice.
I was going to say, come join us.
Never going back.
Come join us in the quote unquote off season when we are running the mocks, and you will hear Ryan rave about you fucked up by not getting your 2 quarterbacks.
Yep. All I do is yell at people for not drafting running backs early. That's literally all I do. And for drafting quarterbacks,
and then you get Joel on there talking about, well, you can't draft running backs so fast. Too fast.
I have Joel on for 1 show a year because I can't fight that much.
Charlie, it says, what are the odds, Kendra, Foster Moreau, and Reed staying under 25? Yeah, if this is combined, it's going to be tight.
Yeah. I recommend that you sign up for Underdog, use promo code WOFF, and bet the over on all of those so that you can win your entry fee back.
Yes. What a great
what a sales pitch right there.
what a company guy Ryan is right there. Do you think I have a chance? Up 24, Green Bay defense, and he has Dobbs.
Yes, you have a great chance. I think you win.
Yeah.
If you have the Green Bay defense.
If you have a 24-point cushion and it's the Green Bay defense against Dobbs, yeah, you're good.
Yep, I agree. There it is. That's the one from the other day. Boswell, I believe, was the kicker we were talking about on Saturday. So yeah. All right, and no more in the chat as of right now. I don't think. Let's get to Ryan's favorite section. Yeah. It is chill the fuck out, the good, the bad, the ugly. Games that were merely a blip on the schedule. Josh, lead us off.
I mean, how is it not Josh Allen? Honestly, I mean, 11.2 fantasy points coming off of 90 combined the last 2 weeks. Dude went from Superman to Clark Kent like that. It's so bad. This game felt like a trap for the Bills, the same way that I thought that the Rams game was going to be a trap for Philly going cross country. The Patriots being a division game, they always play Josh Allen pretty tough. But I mean, this was the James Cook show. Like, they leaned on him pretty heavily. Fun fact, James Cook leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns. Did not know that. Great. Yeah. Cool.
About running backs
but you know what? This downswing here with Josh Allen, now the MVP waters, they're wide open. Lamar got the demon off his back, beat Pittsburgh, had 3 passing touchdowns. Saquon, 1 step closer to breaking the rushing record. And I think you have to include Jared Goff into this conversation, considering the Lions have the 2nd best record in the NFL, but also the amount of injuries that they've had. Jared Goff has been the one constant on this team, and I think he's going to get a lot more MVP love than people think. Not a great week for Josh Allen, all told. Bills did end up winning, but still.
So, like I said earlier, I had Josh Allen in a league, and I went back and looked at it. If I'd have started, of course, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, if I'd have started Mac Jones or goddamn Mason Rudolph, I'd have had 4 points.
Real, you weren't starting any of those guys.
No, I said
There's no point in even hypothesizing
that. This is exactly what this part is. It's just merely a blip on the schedule. You're not playing any of those guys, but if you did, you beat Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Ryan, who you got?
So I have to give myself reminders every now and then. So before we all fall in love with Tyrone Tracy, let's not overdraft him next season. That receiving touchdown he scored this week in the back of the end zone, if you didn't look it up, he looked like a wide receiver because he used to be a wide receiver. He could be an excellent receiving back in this league. The comps coming into the season were Jahmyr Gibbs, and I understand, I'm saying the role, not the player. That was the kind of role the Giants kind of envisioned for him. But the fact of the matter is this, he is a day 3 pick, and the Giants are going to fire their coaching staff. He could easily be jettisoned next season. The only way I'm back in is if Brian Daboll gets an OC job and Tyrone Tracy follows him there. That's going to be enough.
That's not going to happen for 3 years. He's on a rookie contract. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, unless the new staff brings in and just doesn't want to keep a day 3 guy around, it would be a mistake.
I mean, to me, this is Dameon Pierce, right? This is what it's going to be. Dameon Pierce had a solid rookie season. Everybody bought in, and then they went out, signed Devin Singletary. Pierce got hurt. Singletary did his thing. Pierce lost his job. Then they bring in Joe Like, this is ultimately the scenario that Tyrone Tracy is entering.
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to, where do they view this? How do they view him? Sometimes day 3 picks hit.
He's going to have to.
He hasn't been otherworldly.
Exactly.
He's been good. He's been solid. But
again, just reminding myself, I'm going to hear a lot of coach speak. I need to lay off of Tyrone Tracy. He doesn't need to be my last pick in every best ball draft next year.
I mean, last pick in a best ball draft, that's not a bad thing.
Nah, he wouldn't fall that far anyway. So
I do believe he had an ankle injury or re-aggravated ankle injury yesterday afternoon too. So that
he did under 4 yards per carry. But this is like 3 out of the last 4 weeks with under 4 yards per carry. He's really come down as a runner, but when they do use him in the passing game, he's so fun. They just won't fucking do it. So
they don't have nobody to pass the ball forward anyway.
That's fair. That's very fair.
All right, let's one more round of chat questions here. You said Fett says thank you. I play against Jay Jetta too, but JT carried me this week. Gotta love that though. George says, can I hear I'll never draft this player again from each of you?
Ooh. Oh, it's so early. I don't hate players. I hate ADPs. So I don't have a play. I'm not drafting Travis Kelce next year. I'm not going to pay whatever the price is to get Travis Kelce. I'm done with Travis Kelce. I'm either paying up for Brock Bowers or I'm streaming the entire season, plain and simple. So I'm done with Travis Kelce.
Josh, you got one?
I mean, I've never drafted him to begin with, but Jerry Jeudy.
Hey, no, that's good. That's good, depending on who their quarterback is.
I'm gonna turn this question around though. Instead of a player, I'll never draft this player. A player that I'm going to try to draft every chance I get this next year. Brian Thomas Jr.
I was going to say it might be Brian Thomas Jr.
And coming from me, how
Yep.
As bad as I hated to, not hate, but as bad as I didn't like his situation and his play coming into this year, he has really won me over. So
I'm probably thinking Tyrone Tracy.
Way to ruin it.
Way to ruin a perfectly good segment. Good Lord.
I will say, I faded Devon Achane at his ADP quite a bit. And I know that kind of came back to bite me. Like, I have him in a dynasty league, but he's been so effective as a receiver that it's just I honestly don't care what the ADP is going to be.
See, I see, and I'm wondering, so Chuba Hubbard's ADP is going to be super interesting because for those who don't know how bad Jonathan Brooks' knee injury is, they're going to go into next season with the same thought. Jonathan Brooks, if he plays before October, I'll be shocked next year.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a great question to George. Ask that question.
Might be Najee. I keep thinking, he's going to be a solid, reliable RB2, and then just doesn't do anything.
As high as I was on Najee, I right there with you on that. That's a great call, Najee Harrison.
I'll say this gets the plan. 2 weeks from now, we're going to do the way too early mock draft on this timestamp. So come back for that episode in 2 weeks. That's where you're going to get a lot of our. I don't plan on touching these guys. So
that might be a great question to ask every Monday.
Yeah,
going forward. Oh my God. George says he'll fade Jalen Waddle. T. Higgins, any chance he gets?
I'm so hit or miss on T. Higgins. Waddle, I'm obviously on board with. So.
Waddle's got games.
I had a conversation yesterday with a coworker who's a big Dolphins fan, and he's like, he basically is out on Waddle, and he says that Parker Washington's going to take that job.
Josh,
Malik Washington. I was like, what?
Somebody said that on Saturday. Somebody said that on Saturday in the chat. It wasn't when we were able to bring up on screen because we were trying to whip through.
Yeah, he was talking about it in dynasty leagues. I mean, I get it. He's a late round kid. He's hungry. He still didn't do anything productive. Let's be real here. Like, he wasn't otherworldly by any means, but.
I mean, 4 of 3 yesterday, 28 yards. But again, he's getting some
nothing.
Right, but he's getting some opportunity on the field. 87% of the snaps yesterday.
Well, yeah, because Waddle didn't play,
and that's the point.
Yeah,
I think that's the point.
He's an interesting player. I drafted him in a bunch of dynasty leagues. I always end up with so many 5th round picks. So he's sitting on a bunch of my taxi squad. So I hope he hits.
Sure, damn that hill in the practice facility in Cincy. All right, let's get into tonight's game. Over Underdog. Sign up with code WOFF. Claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. Use the code WOFF. Again, claim your free pick, first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Tonight's game, and there is only one tonight. New Orleans at Green Bay. The spread is 14.5 for Green Bay. Over under a 42.5 over there on ESPN Bet. Josh, I want to let you lead this one off. Because
why? I'm just going to steal all your points.
Yeah, I know. And then I realized what you put on there, and now you're just going to try to steal all my points. So Ryan, we'll start with you.
Well, because you guys both went with Green Bay, I forced myself into going with the Saints here. Looking this over, I don't like the Saints offense in general. And usually what happens in these types of games when you don't like that is the quarterback ends up running for his life. Spencer Rattler higher than 4.5 rushing attempts actually gives you 1.27 times whatever your money is. So it gets you a little bit of a bump there. In his first 2 games as a starter, he rushed 4 times and 5 times. In his last 2 games coming in relief, he didn't rush at all. So there's a lot of risk here. But when I look at this in general, I feel like Green Bay is going to have him running for his life. And as long as he can get past the line of scrimmage, I think we get past this number pretty easily. I won't be surprised if this is a first half cash.
Yeah, I don't. The question for me, can he get the 4.5 rushing attempts without them going backwards?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the worry, because all he needs to do, I'm not even thinking about design running plays. I just need him to cross the line of scrimmage while running away from the defense. So.
Right. I got you there. I went with Jayden Reed, more than 3.5 receptions. Since the Saints have traded Marshawn Lattimore, they have the 4th worst secondary in the NFL. During the 5 games without Lattimore, opposing wide receivers have averaged 6.8 catches against them. But that's not all. That is not all. 13 players have had at least 4 catches against the Saints in the past 5 games without Lattimore. And now Reed gets a chance coming off of a 6-target performance last week. So give me Jayden Reed, 3.5, over 3.5 catches. Josh?
Mine is Christian Watson, higher than 47.5 receiving yards. I think this is going to be a big Jayden Reed game. I'm very much on board with that. But Gator, the one thing you mentioned in your stats, 5 games without Lattimore, opposing number 1 wide receivers average 6.8 catches against them. Jayden Reed is not the wide receiver 1 on this team. He plays in the slot. And when they run 11 or 12 personnel, he comes off the field, and they run 12 personnel a lot. So guess who's going to have more opportunities at those yards? And who does it in big-time chunk plays? That's Christian Watson. He could literally do this in 1 catch.
He could literally do it in 1 catch, and that's my concern with Watson, is he is not on the field either. When you look at the last
Well, I mean, they rotate the outside wide receivers. Yeah. Dobbs is the most consistent, right? And Correct. Then it's Watson and then Wicks.
I think they both cash. So about that?
I think they honestly look. I'm very in on Reed this week. I think he's going to be a top 20 fantasy wide receiver. I'm all in on it. I'm buying it. I think the over on this hits. I'm pertaining to the literal stat that you put together.
Yes, yeah.
Reed is not their number 1.
I skipped over the number 1 wide receiver. It's in the stat. I just skipped over it by not seeing it, I guess, or just trying to read too fast. I like all 3 of these, and I would not mind parlaying these together because, like you said, Christian Watson, that could be done in one play. Spencer Rattler, that could be done because he's going to be running for his life for most of the game. They could be done by halftime. And again, Jayden Reed, they all 3 of these could be done in the first half.
And let's not forget the most important stat here. It's Toyotathon week. Jordan Love and Toyotathon. Wheels fucking up, baby.
That's right, baby. Can't stop it.
Millie Mills in the chat finally. Good morning. Fuck off.
I don't even know what happened.
He's a fucking Falcon fan. Nobody-
Okay. I'm picking up what you're laying down now.
Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing when he put this in there. And see, this is the great part about our chat. He knew exactly what I meant when I said fuck off. So
Yeah.
appreciate you, Millie Mills. Love it, love it, love it. All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here. 90. Oh shit, 100 minutes in. 100 minutes in, an hour and a half.
You're lucky my meeting was canceled today.
Well, gosh, because of the holiday season here, I'm going to let you do the schedule that's coming up for this next week, because I know Trade Block's taking off. I know the Dynasty After Party's taking off this week. Let me know what is actually being done this week on Club Fantasy FFL.
So basically, so get ready to see me and Josh's face.
Yeah, see a lot of us. Correct. Yeah. Tomorrow is basically the Ryan and Josh day. Yeah. We've got wiretapped 11 a.m. talking waivers. Basically, we're just going to be focusing on the guys that you feel comfortable starting.
Yep.
If you need to pick them up, plain and simple. It could be a very short show. It could also turn into a start-sit show.
It'll be a start-sit show. And guess what? So will the nighttime.
Pretty much. And then you'll find us on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. No pun intended, moving up a day, taking the Trade Block spot, because we have Christmas Day games. So we want to preview the week ahead of time and get you ready to rock and roll. Merry Christmas. Plain and simple.
Wait,
you know,
Joe,
you get a double dose of Ryan and Josh, because Joe will be out.
No. Visiting family.
Fucking hockey family.
No, he's
family
visiting
this
family.
time.
Christmas. Yeah.
All
So, I'm still getting word back on Cleat Dreams. I know Kelly's unavailable. But I'm guessing they'll probably end up taking off as well. Gator, you mentioned Dynasty After Party out. We will have an episode of the Sneaky Flex on Thursday. The girls, if Kentre Miller stays under 30 points, they will be facing their dad in their home league championship.
Yes.
Which is pretty fucking awesome. Dave has been on a rant on Twitter. He's very emotional about it. Super excited. Really happy to see kind of how that show plays out. And of course, in 2 weeks, the day after New Year's, the girls will be sitting down with Stefania Bell to recap the NFL season, which is pretty damn awesome. Ryan, are you and Austin doing DFS this week?
No, we're not.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so no week 17. Yeah, there's going to be no week 17 DFS.
He's
still doing his cash.
He's still doing his article. Yep.
Okay. Still going to do his article. And then, of course, we'll have Saturday start sit. Plain and simple. That's where we're going to answer all the weekend shows. We've got Saturday games. We've got Sunday games. So anything that we miss and don't cover on Wednesday, and I believe there's a Thursday game also, we'll take care of on Starts a Different Day Saturday. And of course, you'll see the three of us back on Monday.
Talk about them championships.
Fantasy football championships.
Yeah, don't forget tomorrow morning as well. Ryan, you're doing the waiver wire article tomorrow.
Correct.
And so that will drop onto clubfantasyffl.com.
Yep.
Make sure you check that out and then join the guys directly after that at 11 for the actual waiver wire show, where he just repeats everything he puts in the article. So you can do that.
Well, we normally talk about a lot more players on the show, but as Josh
more.
mentioned, we only can talk about the guys who you're going to play.
May not need to. I mean, look, we'll cover some of the deeper stuff, of course. Like, not every league is a 8 or 10 team, or even 12 team. Like, you'll have dynasties as well. So honestly, it might even turn into a dynasty type of
Well, it could be just a start-sit show anyway, Josh, because I'm thinking about reworking my article, and I think the show plays this way as well. It's, would you play them or won't you play them? I mean, that's what it really comes down to tomorrow.
There you go.
I agree.
Real quick, I know Millie Mills jumped in late here. How did we look at Penix this week? Again, go back to the beginning of the show. We talked about it a good bit there. My opinion on him was he didn't lose the game, didn't win the game, but he looked like a rookie. I think there's some.
But when your defense plays like that,
correct, absolutely,
that's all you need.
Yeah, that offense did exactly what they wanted him to do. For the most part, it wasn't his fault. The interception, just if offense ran through, through the running back. So
looked like a game manager, but that's what they needed this week. We don't know if they're always going to need that. So
yeah, if you want some more in depth, go back and watch.
And Drake London getting hurt definitely didn't help.
No,
stop it. Okay, it's time to go, guys.
Yeah, Drake London didn't get anybody to a championship.
Actually, he took me out of one. So
there you go.
Not purposely. I don't.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
He didn't do it on purpose. All right, guys. We will see y'all next week for the wrapping up the championship game. So for Josh, for Ryan, and myself, we're out of here. Y'all enjoy your holiday